everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Drop Hip Hop Uncensored. Gonna be taking a Rinsensen, honey, the hip hop game's favorite Barbie doll. Today I have with me brand strategist, DJ, Bona, Kiri, radio presenter and personality, Beetle.
What's good?
How are you?
I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm good. I love your voice. It's so husky.
Ish.
No wonder you're on radio. No wonder you are on radio.
It wasn't always like this.
Really?
Yeah. I can't say why it's like this now.
Hectic.
In case my mom sees this clip. But you guys know why it is like this now.
Those who don't know.
Exactly.
Now I want us to get straight into it. When did you decide to answer your calling to music? Because seeing you as Fiflaaa the brand, you're not just a DJ, you know? So when did you decide that this is me answering the calling?
It was 2018, beginning of 2018. I remember I was going through, obviously, a lot of stuff, and then I was in recovery from a lot of the issues that I was going through. So I was on meds and stuff for my depression and anxiety, and I was like, you know what? I don't know what to do outside of this to just make myself feel better. But in those weeks, it's so crazy how like more than 3 people came up to me like, dude, have you ever considered being a DJ? I'm like, yeah, I love music. Because like you guys creating such dope playlists for us. Like for the office, for when I'm cruising with my friends, wherever we're going. And I was like, you know, it's okay, clearly.
You need
this
to
is what I need
harness
to
the skill.
do, you know? And a friend of mine was like, listen, Kitcheners. It's pussy party workshops happening. I think it was for the whole of that. Was it January? No. It was happening for like 6 months, if I'm not mistaken. And then like literally after a month and a half, Coco felt like I was ready to go out there and start gigging.
Like, go kill.
And guys, I was actually supposed to do this as a hobby. But now we're here. We're grateful for the blessing.
Well.
Yeah.
What do we have here? Now, you were raised by a single parent, right? And with education being so paramount in Black families.
Yeah.
What was her reaction like to you deciding to take the path of, yes, I'm going to do school, but I'm going to have a career in the media space?
Yeah. So, one thing about my mom, you need to show her something substantial.
Contant.
You know, you have to show her, like, can she invest in this? If she can't, she feels like, nah,
why are you doing
like,
it?
just get rid of it, you know? I remember, because I didn't know what to study, I was just going to get into accounting because, like, both my sisters are, like, accountants.
So you'd follow that.
So I was like, and my dad was an accountant. So I was like, let me also just, you know, but I'm like, as much as I know numbers, I don't like doing numbers all day, every day. And then I wanted to take a gap year and travel and do volunteer work through Kontiki. And my mom was like, that's not going to happen. Like, at a gap year in which Black family, where have you heard of that? She was so hacked. She was like, that's not happening. So I was like, okay, cool. She put pressure. I remember there was career day at school the one time. And I went to the AAA stand and I didn't understand what they were trying to sell. Then we went to Vega. And then Vega was like, listen, dude, this is what we do there. We do strategy, we do graphic design.
And it sounds nice. When they're there.
Yeah, and they sold like that.
And the pamphlets.
And I mean, I was 18, you know? So I'm like, I've never even, like, I never actually thought I'd get into advertising. Because I was like, okay, looking at adverts is dope, you know? But I never fully understood the process behind creating them. So I was like, okay, let me give it a chance. I was supposed to actually study graphic design because I got a distinction in visual art. I love art. So I was like, let me
I love, like, it's the pants for me. I can see you really love art.
and the craft.
I love, and the craft.
And the craft. So I was like, you know, it's graphic design. And then I pulled out last minute. I was like, actually, I don't think I want to do this. I want a course with numbers, with thinking, but also with the creativity added onto it.
That's also fun.
You know what I mean? That's also fun at the same time. And they were like, okay, cool. This brand building and management degree is the perfect way. And then I remember my mom went through the documents at Vega. She was like, oh, okay, cool. Seems solid. She was like, look, as long as you're doing something, as long as you're studying. And then obviously went on to study. And she was happy because I'm like, I got a job, you know. And I guess that's what you wanted. You know, every Black parent's like, after...
As long as you're independent or can stand on your own 2 feet.
Yeah, as long as the degree is there, the job is there, they're happy. You know what I mean? So when I obviously introduced the DJing and stuff, she was like, what? You really doing this? I was like, yeah, I have to. And she's like, I support you. She was like, I support you one way. Because she's like, since you were a kid, you've always been so lively. You've always entertained your family members, your friends. You're like the life of the party. So she's like, I figured that in your adulthood, you would
Something
go
like
down that
this would-
path, you know? So she was just like, I support. And she really does support it. Like, my mom tunes into my show every Thursday. When I did the rodeo, she listened in every Sunday to like critique and stuff. I remember there was a time where I crashed my car and she would drive me to my gigs and listen like from the car, because obviously
that's an OG mom.
so I mean,
That's
shout
an
out to
OG
her.
mom.
Like,
Shout out to moms.
she's always supported my dreams, and like I'm grateful because I know a lot of people do have those fights with their parents where their parents really don't understand what it is.
And it was very easy for you to be comfortable to sharing that with your mom.
Yeah. So shout out.
That's beautiful. Shout out, moms. Now, having gone through Vega and how expensive it is, and you know, also, Bophelo is not a really clear path.
Yeah.
There's been other challenges as well.
Yeah.
You've had to work a couple of odd jobs, you know, which is what every, you know, normal varsity student kid goes through.
Yeah.
So what are some of the odd jobs that were most humbling? What's the one odd job that humbled you?
Yo, guys. You know what it was, man? There's two.
Okay.
The first one was promotions, right?
Girl.
Whoa. Guys,
I think taxi ka that bag.
we're thinking.
And then there's the bucket.
It's wearing tafula.
Then there's the bucket.
Exactly.
Then mom's of sisi yehla.
Come on, you have to fight the people in the front. Like, guys, go a little way.
And then they
so
don't
I can
want to
put my
move.
stuff, and they don't want to move.
Mara, they want free things.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay. And then you have to carry the table, assemble it, and then, whoo, guys, that will humble you. You have to walk from this taxi to Kai carrying that bag.
Or a certain destination and a taxi emo, and then it's like 4 blocks down.
Exactly, but you must walk because the job has to get done. And then people rejecting you, people being rude, walking past you in the shops. Girl. You know what I'm saying? Acting like they're gonna buy the product, and then
they just want to taste for free.
And then some of them coming to harass you just for the sake of harassing. You have to go through that, and that's a lot of emotions to like process in a day. And I think it really was emotionally taxing. And at that time I had to, because I struggled through varsity financially. And then I remember for the channel awards as well, I was a dresser. I knew nothing up. I still don't know anything about sewing. So if ever the dancers' outfits tore, I had to go quickly and stitch them.
What are you stitching?
Like,
but you're stitching.
Hey. And the lady we were working under was so rude. I forgot her name. I don't actually, let me not mention.
Yeah,
I want to name and shame her. She was really rude to all of us, you know what I mean? And like,
but it's just like, she didn't see you guys, and you guys were the backbone of her work.
Exactly, you know? And like that looking down on us and whatever, it's like, we're really trying here, you know? Because we got called in last minute to try and save the show, essentially. That was also very humbling. It was like, whew, you know? And you're obviously looking at all these like celebs and stuff, thinking, I also want to me one day present this award show. Also, me want to be on stage accepting an award. You're seeing yourself there, and you're like, and it is in those moments where you need to. I think that's what kept me going. Being in that environment, like, I will get you, and I'm gonna fight to get you.
And it reminded you to fight even harder, because I think when you're in spaces like that, you have to make sure what.
Yeah,
because it's hard.
It's so hard.
It's hard, right?
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that you hold very dear to your heart is your spirituality and ancestral lineage, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that's where you draw the strength to keep going, and that's where you got the strength to push through every single difficult boss, every single difficult taxi, every single walking 4 blocks up, you know, Santon? Is that where you got the strength?
That's why I get my strength daily, you know. I mean, I started... Well, let me rather say this journey unraveled for me in 2017. You know, I was starting to read a lot of African literature, because I always felt like, yeah, cool, religion exists, Christianity exists, and that how I was raised in a Christian home, like we're Anglican, you know. So I also never grew up in a family that practices tradition. I like, if a funeral happens, like a funeral happens, and then how of like slaughtering this, that I never really grew up witnessing that in my immediate family, you know what I mean? And I questioned a lot of that when I was like 23. I was like, things are moving weird. Like, I pray to God, cool, but I don't feel, you know, you don't feel lifted. You don't feel like you can
close to the God that you're praying to.
Okay. You always feel like every good moment that comes is just pure luck, and you're always waiting for the next moment to happen, but you don't even know in between what are the rituals I should be practicing or doing. What should I be doing to constantly attract that goodness, so that even when things are bad, you still know that there's still goodness that exists,
and you're grounded in that strength,
you know. And I started reading a lot of African literature, and I was starting to understand how ancestry works, how there used to be a ancestor for rain, an ancestor for herbs, an ancestor in all kinds of African tribes, not just us in South Africa. In Nigeria, that's how it was. In Kenya, that's how it is. In Tanzania, you know what I mean? And how a lot of the times, most of us actually have ancestors in other countries.
Yes.
You know, there's Matabanes in Tanzania, for example. It's like, whoa, how did that happen? How did we all disperse? And I just got so deep into that. But at the same time, obviously looking at like tarot readers, Reikis and stuff. I visited a Reiki once, you know, I had a Reiki reading, and that's when I was like, oh, okay.
Well, how was it?
It was different.
Was it spot on?
Yeah, she was spot on. Like, she knew. Even like my deepest dark secrets, she came out with that. I was like, oh, how do you know that? Like, why are they showing you that? You know? But ever since I've started pray, like doing thanking, you know, my ancestors.
Is that not in conflict with your parents or the way that you grew up? Because if your immediate family is more of a religious point of view, how did you explain it to your parents and explain, you know, in your adulthood that, you know, this is what I feel comfortable in doing, even though you didn't raise me like this, but in my journey of finding who I am, I've uncovered 1, 2, 3.
I mean, so it was my sister and I. Obviously now we're gonna do this. You know, so she was my backup. The firstborn is not she's like agiri kenese, you know. She's like nah. So convincing my mom. Actually, not even convincing. So a lot of the times I would obviously research the stuff behind her back and go consult and whatever. And she was just like. And then she found out there was a day where her and my sister. She was like, "Where are you guys going?" I think. It's because I brought back a chicken. She's like, Doug, you hate chickens. Why do you have a chicken? You know what I mean? And I had to be like, okay, cool. This is what's going on, and this is what I'm
going
like experiencing, and I want to see if it works for me. Even if it doesn't work for me, as long as I try it, you know what I mean? Because I always believe I do need a higher power to guide me. Girl, I cried. I chickened out. That's good for me. Guys, fun fact.
You chicken out.
Childhood fear, chickens.
Why?
Till today.
Why? So you don't eat chicken?
I eat it. Someone else must kill it. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm so scared of chickens, guys. As soon as a chicken like even runs past me, I'm like, why?
Well, I mean, at least you eat it. So.
I mean, look, you know. But yeah, so it was just a matter of me trying to find the higher power that speaks to me most and that I can draw strength from, because I feel like you can't walk this earth alone without having anything to support you.
There's a higher power than you.
Yes, that is gonna help you get there. So ever since I've started that journey, I've understood myself better and understood what I need to do to get to where I want to be and how to live out my purpose, because that's the most important thing about the whole thing, is living out my purpose.
Okay. You know, speaking of your mom being supportive, for a parent who's very, you know, religious, and for them to understand Wanaka is going through this and now be okay with it, is like, it speaks so much of the type of support that you have. Yeah. And you're very, very fortunate to have that type of support.
But she wasn't like that at first about it. She was just, she
did like some convincing.
It was even like, for her, she was like, why? You know, that whole, you don't have to do this. Like, why are you trying to pull us down that hole? And it's like,
there's your sister is always like, yeah, well, I understand, so I'm also
my sister was like, listen, I get it too, because homegirl and I were like, we are lost, because literally it takes you being so lost to go and seek for that, you know what I mean? And it works for me, and what works for me is not going to work for the next person, you know what I mean? True. So I never ever tried to also impose my beliefs on anyone else, or I wasn't even trying to impose on my mom. I was just saying, listen, all I need is for you to support it.
And
I've decided that this is what I'm going to believe in, and this is what I'm choosing to believe in. Just support it.
Adulthood.
Yo, guys, adulting now.
Adulthood.
It kicks me 10-0 every day, but hey, we're still alive.
Some of your biggest milestones, you've played Disc Jockey, Afropunk,
yeah,
you know, Opi Kopi, and the list goes on and on and on.
At Opi. I was booked.
You were booked,
and then it got cancelled.
Oh yes, yeah. I remember. But putting in mind all the other big stages you've been on, which one would you say is your most memorable set? Even if you were playing Zone 6 or you were playing where there's 2 people in the audience,
it was
Kitchen is like, what's your most memorable set where you were like, when you got home, you're like, yeah, no, I'm the shit.
Tshwane Fontaine, my first Fontaine.
Okay.
That was spiritual. That was
What about it made it spiritual?
I was levitating, dog, because I was so nervous, right? And I was down and out, man. I mean, it was around the time I was still unemployed and I wasn't really getting a lot of gigs. So when I got that call, I was like, ooh, I'm still being seen, even though the gigs were quiet. I wasn't.
You're not in the public eye as much.
Yeah, I didn't have a 9 to 5 anymore. So I was like broke. I was flat out broke, you know. And I got that call and I was like, okay, let's go. So obviously your confidence is now also ruined because you haven't bought yourself clothes in a while. Now you're like looking at your cover like, what must
What
I
am I gonna
wear?
wear?
So that almost knocked me down. But my sister's like, no, we're gonna make it happen. Don't worry, don't stress. Got there. I remember praying with my my brother and my sister, and we were like, let's just pray. And like we had such a deep prayer before I got on stage. And when I got off, it felt like I jumped back into my body. I got that, whoa, what just happened?
Okay.
Because I can't explain it. It was like,
You were literally levitating.
I feel like something was moving, someone was moving for me. Like controlling the decks for me. Because
and then the crowd also
even the
got
crowd,
Fontaine.
and then the crowd was, and the response I got from the crowd, I think is the one that got me like in a daze. I was just like, okay, cool, you know. And then from there, that's when also then YFM happened because that's how I got seen by YFM. So it was like,
We see you.
it was, so you see how it's linked. It was all meant to just like happen. But that was my most memorable set, I won't lie.
Speaking of getting back into your body,
Yes.
you know, you've had some mental health challenges, right? And how have you then managed to preserve your peace and contentment? Because it would take a lot for you to see that, you know what, I am lost and I need help.
Yeah.
And then get yourself that help, because most of the time, a lot of people try to save someone going through mental health challenges,
Yes.
right? And for you, you took back that power and decided to save yourself,
Yeah.
basically. So how do you then preserve that peace and preserve knowing that I'm going to be okay, even though right now things might be shaky? Because life does that to you sometimes, where you could be doing great and then it's like everything is just in slow motion right now.
And even when people look from the outside, they're thinking,
It's good. And you just like...
and you like deep down, I mean, things could be better. You know, I've lived through a time where everything was taken away from us, where we lost everything as a family, like everything, cars, house. Like we've been evicted before. We've like, you know, when I've said I've
There's
seen
nothing you haven't seen.
I've seen the bottom and the basement of the bottom, and how I always manage to get out is also just praying, you know, and also just having that belief, even with that last bit of faith you have left in your body. It's just try and even speak positively about yourself, about your situation, like constantly, you know what I'm saying? And just find solace in the things that really do make you happy. If it's music, listening to music, that's what it is, then keep that going, you know what I mean? So that eventually your body's also now starting to come out of that, I don't want to call it a funk, but come out of that dark space slowly, and you can breathe again. Cleaning your space. Like, I constantly have to clean my space, because a lot of the times when it is cluttered, then I obviously
your
also want
energy
to,
is also...
you know, and I realize that the more I clean my space, the more I can think, the more I can process my thoughts easier, you know. And even the process of channeling, I'm still learning that, like channeling positive thoughts. There are days where I still go through depressive episodes where I have anxiety attacks, and it's so hard, but it's about like, okay, you're not happy about this, cool, that's fine, because it's also about accepting
what you're going through,
but also accepting the things you can't change and the things you can, and you need to like map that out for yourself. Like, okay, this, that can I control? No, so let the universe take its course on it. You know what I mean? Park that. The universe will control it. The things you can control, which comes to the environments you find yourself in,
the people
you associate yourself with, the content you consume, the food you eat, your routines. Your daily routines, from jogging to drinking tea to lighting incense to watching a podcast, like those are the things you can control.
Would you say those are like your meditational activities that make sure that you're not back into that position where you feel like you don't know who Fifi is?
Yeah, because it also takes, I think a lot of the times. So one of the things, let me just bring it back to my situation currently. Like, one of the things that was really an issue, if I could say, is that things were moving so fast now. So things move fast, move fast, move fast.
You're not ready for the pace.
Now there's noise, right? Now you're always in the noise. Even you trying to have, I couldn't even have like, let's say 2 hours to myself because I'm like, I'm just trying to catch up on sleep. So it's like, I just want to sleep and then I have to wake up, I have to do this, that. At 12, I have to do this, that. At this time, I have to do this. At this time, I have to do this. Midnight, I knock off again. Cycle repeats itself. I need to submit 3 mixes. I need to do this. I need to attend 3 meetings
Life
for
is
clients.
living you. You're not
So
living
it was
life.
like, where in the day did I prioritize myself and sit with myself, even if it was for 30 minutes, 20 minutes even, and do a guided meditation, for example, you know? And I had to stop and say, okay, cool, bro. Like, be in your own space now. Commit to being in your own space. Commit to setting out a routine that, yes, when you're done with work, cool, you've got 2 hours TV time, 2 hours meditation time, 2 hours phone time. Cut down on phone time. Spend more time just trying to center yourself, you know? So it's you have to create something that works for you. Because, like, for example,
it has to be a constant routine.
Yeah,
where you understand
Yeah.
where your health and the importance of your being is.
Yeah.
And be comfortable in it.
And it really doesn't work for, like, what I do it might not work for the next person. Because I remember trying to introduce meditation to someone once. And they were like, oh, I want to fall asleep.
Yeah, I was going to say,
you know what I'm saying? And I only discovered in hospital that I liked meditation. So, like, one of the therapists, like, put us through that, right? And I saw some people obviously getting bored, but I was like, whoa, this is... Yeah, but that, like, I woke up feeling like, okay, today is going to be a good day, you know? Because it also helps you envision the day you want to happen. It might not happen the way, like, to the T, how you envisioned it.
But somewhat.
Because of 80%. That energy you've decided to carry that morning, it's obviously going to unravel the way it should. So I'm still learning, though.
Speaking of learning, what does music mean to you and what does it teach you?
Music is, I don't know, it's like for me it's a release, ne? It's like if I'm not feeling great, it holds so much power because I feel like it affects anything. It can affect anything in the environment you find yourself in, right? You could be in your room. I can give you so many scenarios. For example, you're in your room and you're having a bad day and you listen to some hiatus, for example, and you let the tears roll, you know? As a DJ, you go to the decks and someone's having a bad day and your set suddenly switches their mood. And then they're like, yo, I feel lifted again. And that's power for me. And it's so spiritual. Like, that's why when Fiflaaa Kuti even said music is spiritual, don't play with that. I agree. Like, don't play with it. You know what I mean? Because it is the one universal language that also people understand. And that's where everyone can come together and unite. It brings peace to so many people. Can also be dangerous, though, especially in terms of the content that some people try to get out there. You know, can be used as a dangerous tool. You can't, like, ignore that.
Certain agendas that might harm people. That
There's that too, and you need to always keep that in mind, you know. And that's why it's also important for people who share music, for example, or people have the responsibility of sharing
to share the right kind of music.
To share the right kind of music. Like the one chat, sorry, I feel like I'm deviating there. The one chat we were having is it's the DJ's responsibility to obviously now play music by people who have done wrong. If you get what I mean. So
yes, there was Nikki asked to tweet Ari.
Yes.
Ari, is it my responsibility to make sure that I don't play certain people's music because they've done certain things that are wrong?
Yeah.
And then a lot of people were saying yes, because now you're the one who's dictating what people listen to.
Yes.
As much as people at Groove or wherever, they don't think this person raped a 16-year-old child.
Exactly.
But what are you supporting by playing their music? Are you supporting that person? Because you can't separate the music from the individual.
Never. For me, you can never.
Yes, you can't separate the rapist from the best rapper in the world.
How am I trying to increase your streams?
Yes,
how am I trying to
while you're hurting children?
Exactly. You know, and you need to be excluded from society until you choose to rehabilitate. That's how I feel it should always work. That's how the system should go. You know what I mean? You can't be promoting 100%. That, you know? So that's why I'm like, also in instances like that, it's where you need to understand your responsibility and how you contribute to music.
And I think also with that, there's so many other artists that DJs have the chance of playing.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because they want to make their set extra.
Yeah.
You know? Because now the song is trending.
Yeah.
Now they're trying to be the best set in the... you know what I'm saying? And the clout is a big disease in our generation.
Yeah.
You know? So I want to talk about how authentic your image is.
Okay.
I love your fashion sense. I don't want
Thank
to say
you.
dress sense. I like your fashion sense. Who are some of your idols, or like where do you get that? Because every single look of yours it's specific.
Yeah.
Like it's very specific. I went a little digging.
No,
So
as you should. It's fine.
so I came across how you would go from like literally a lady to
Yeah.
like a monk to
Yeah.
like, you know, like Erica. There's this one where you're wearing a yellow coat and you look like Erica Badu with these other glasses, and I'm like,
Yeah.
this is like an Erica look type of situation.
Yeah.
So where do you get the inspiration of your style?
One thing about me, I love clothes. Right? I don't know, because it's so funny. I was saying it the other day. It's like, I love street culture. I just love clothes generally. It's not even just street culture per se. So like you said, sometimes I look like a lady. So I know, okay, cool, this garment could go well with this. And then my nails, my lashes, and my
like,
wig,
oh,
you know.
even.
I think it's culture. Growing up watching MTV, looking at how some of your favorite artists used to dress. For me, that used to be the biggest influence, you know. Like if I'd see Fergie in the one Black Eyed Peas video and she's wearing like a nice, I'm like, I'm gonna go find that, you know, because she looks so cool in it, or like her sweatpants look so dope. But also, I think our local brands also, in terms of what they have to offer. That for me also kind of like shows me how much you can stretch your image and your look. Like for example, one of my favorite brands out right now is Dead, and how Bangy styles, like the way Bangy styles his models, how he puts his fits together.
I also like the colors.
Yeah,
I like his colors. Like I like the browns that he uses. I really like the natural tone of browns that he uses.
Yeah, so it's like Bangy. Then you got Boogie, my boy. She's one of
Boogie, the stylist.
Yes, one of my absolute favorite stylists.
Like she's so underrated and she's not celebrated enough.
She's not celebrated enough, and it's so sad to see, because I'm like, she is literally
She brought back the extra long bantu braids.
Yeah,
no, not bantu braids, knotless braids.
Yes,
and then with the whole beads. Before what Beyonce, she brought back those, and then only people and international people caught on after. And then now it's like we all like braids with beads now.
Yeah, you know, and how she's just also not afraid to put outfits together. She's not afraid to put certain colors together. So with me, I really do get it from different sources. But mainly I think it's also been influenced by what's hot right now, what's not, you know. Sometimes I'll even look ahead as well, you know, try and pull a boogie where I'm like, I'm gonna try this and see if people might jump on.
See if it'll catch on.
You know what I'm saying? But I just really like experimenting with colors, with garments, sneakers, because I'm a huge fan of sneakers. Like, my sneaker collection actually is growing now, thank God. So my sneakers, it's also dependent on the sneakers I have. You know what I'm saying? But I always sit like, and I'm like, okay, what would these sneakers go with? If I wore like a long dress with that.
Also, are you more of a retro sneakers, or like, as long as it's a good sneaker?
As long as it's a good sneaker.
Because there's sneakers collectors that are like, if it's a like they only collect retro sneakers, you know, and then, or like timeless pieces.
Yes.
Or the ones that are like, I like this now.
So it's a bit of both, right? So for example, my favorite classic sneaker of all time is a Nike Cortez.
You see, you and I.
Yeah.
You understand the
assignment.
You get it. You get it.
Exactly.
You get it.
So there's that. You know what I mean? It's the Nike Cortez for me, the Continentals that come back that made, that was cool. So yeah, it's a bit of both for me. And then it's like also what's hot right now. Like right now, my favorite pair of sneakers right now is this Puma I got. It's like suede, and it's got material, then it's got leather, then it's got a plastic piece at the back, then it's got like a high platform base, and it's that for me is like, it's cool, because now it actually is now reflecting where my style is going. You know what I'm saying? So even the shoe, more than anything, also influences my style.
It's a statement piece as well. You literally took it right out of my mouth. I was about to ask you, Hore, is that how we got to representing Puma?
Well,
but now that you did.
So, no, man, I just have a really good relationship with the brand.
Okay.
I've worked with them in terms of a few events. So, obviously, remember when they were at Dazzlers? That's how the relationship started. They booked me for a few gigs in Brum. And then, obviously, I got to meet the marketing manager. Shout out Hayden. And, yeah, I just have a really good relationship with the brand. It's not a signed deal or anything, but let's manifest.
Yeah, but also when there's
Can we
gigs,
manifest?
Hey, we know you're
But you guys know. Post. I'm like, yeah.
We see
Y'all see me rocking the new. Yeah.
What was the journey like moving from, you know, being a resident DJ for the rodeo to now being a radio presenter for the three-way? Because it was a long 3 years, eh?
It was.
It was a very long 3 years. The perseverance, girl. Teach me.
You know what? I've always wanted to be on radio. I remember putting this in my vision board years ago. In my first job in advertising, funny enough. And my friend who worked with me back then said, she reminded me of the conversation we had. She's like, dude, I remember we had this chat. You're like, you know what? One day I might not do this advertising thing. I'm going to go straight to radio and I'm going to kill it, right? And I was like, and she reminded me when like it got announced. She's like, dude, you literally said this. And then I found my old book where I wrote, and these are the things. And I saw it like happen. So I always believe that you getting to your destination or your desired destination, there's something you need to do first before you get there sometimes. Sometimes that's how it presents itself. Sometimes it's not just going to come. It's not going to run to you, you know. I believe that it was a process because it's like, okay, my foot's in the door now. I'm mixing every Sunday. And I'm gaining a lot of people like tweeting me, following me, who are like, Fifi, oh, dog, your mixes are so dope. Your mixes are so dope, you know. And I even remember because, I mean, you know, April 1st in South Africa every year is a very shaky time.
Hey, don't play with your feelings, hey.
You don't sleep. I know that week I didn't sleep. I was so scared. I was like, guys, you know, because I was still, it's so crazy. I was still in the space of being okay with still mixing. For having a residency or still being a mixed DJ at YFM. It came as a surprise, you know, but I realized that clearly they were watching. Clearly they saw what I was doing.
Also, when an opportunity is really yours, it will come to you.
It will come to you, you know. And I was so scared more that I was excited. So I was excited. Oh, okay. Firstly, I was like, oh my gosh. I cried. Obviously, I celebrated. But I was scared. I was like, what if I don't kill it? You know, that imposter
anxiety, that's like
that imposter
I don't want to fuck it up so
like,
badly.
Yeah, like you know when you want something so badly and you just don't want to mess it up, and it's that imposter syndrome because I'm like, it's my first time on air, you know, and a lot of people, for example, have studied this, have gone through this, and I'm still trying to learn. But I guess that I'm also gonna learn as on the job, and I'm learning
and
on the job,
you know, it out.
And I'm trying to figure it out. So I realized how blessed I am in that moment to receive that opportunity, and I can't play with it. But I was really scared, but it was really exciting to move from being mixed DJ to radio presenter because it also shows how much trust and faith that they put in me. It showed that they believe in me to carry out this, you know,
it also
job.
Showed the quality of work you were giving them.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't have come to you if they didn't, you know, recognize the quality of work you were giving back to them.
And the commitment to the rodeo as well, you know. Also working with consistency, guys. It's important. There will be days I won't lie, there were some Sundays where I was like,
you're tired.
Nah. But I was like, but we're going. The set is prepared. Gonna go play for people for an hour and go, because it's literally an hour, you know. But clearly that commitment and dedication brought me here, and I'm so grateful.
For the opportunity.
Because I think that's like the highlight of my year. Everything else is just the meza. It's like falling. But we come back up. We rise back up. Sorry, we rise back up.
It's a
maza.
Before I let you go, we're gonna play a game.
Yeah, I love games.
I like games too. It's called this or that, ne?
Okay.
You have to pick one. Ne? G-Star or Levi?
G-Star.
Figured. Afro punk or disc jockey?
Afro.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. The rodeo or three-way?
Three-way, actually. Three-way. Definitely three-way.
Diesel Denim Fridays or representing Puma? Playing sets?
Representing Puma. 100%.
To never hear again or to never speak again?
None of that. None of that.
Pick one.
No. Okay, I'll pick one just for the sake.
God forbid, but
okay.
Yeah. Just
never.
What's the one thing you can't live without doing? Would you like to never? You can't live without speaking again, or you can't live without hearing again.
Never speaking again.
Because music, ne?
Because music. You understand? So even if
I understand
that is gone, at least
you can. Ne? Where can people follow you and book you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, as well as Facebook. Actually, it's Fif_La across all platforms. Check out my SoundCloud. It's Refilwe Matawane if you can't find Fiflaaa. So you can type Fiflaaa first. Fif_La. Fiflaaa. Where else? Yeah, and you can catch me on Three-Way every Thursday 9 to 12 on YFM.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for pulling through.
Thank you for having me.
Finally.
Yo, guys.
Finally.
I'm so glad I could finally commit. I committed.
You
I
committed.
pulled up. I showed up.
I see your consistency. It's showing today.
Is it?
Consistency is showing. Vandaag.
Had such a good time though. Shout out, guys.
Please do follow us on all social media platforms. The Drop Uncensored, The Drop Hip Hop Uncensored on YouTube. Tell your people to tell their people to like, comment, and subscribe. You know I'm twice as nice. Rintinton on all social media platforms. Tell your people to tell their people that they'll catch me again next time. But for now, the queen, the Barbie of SA Hip Hop is signing out. Bye.